I'm a very type A person. I have to hit things head on. I have to go right into it and just push right through it. Hello, my name is Carla McCall, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Your Purposeful Healthy Life. Today's video is part 3 of my breast cancer journey. Part 2, we left off right before my surgery. November the 3rd, I had my lumpectomy with a sentinel node dissection. I went in that morning, had to be there about 7 o'clock, I guess, and went in, and only one person can go with you. Got on my gown and did all the things I was supposed to do, and had all my vital signs taken and answered all the questions, because there's always lots and lots and lots of questions that you have to answer. I guess it was about 10 o'clock that morning. They took me down to breast imaging and put me on the mammogram machine, where they go in and they actually have to put a lead, so they numb it up just like if you were going to have a biopsy. And they have this needle with the long, it looks to me like a piece of fishing line. So they take they use the mammogram machine, and they find exactly where to put it, clean it up, inject it with some numbing medicine. That lead goes straight to where the clip is. When the surgeon goes in to actually remove the tumor, she follows the lead to exactly where it goes. That lets them be sure that they get right to where the tumor is. They took me back over to the pre-op room that I was in, and I waited probably another hour or so. I guess it must have been around noon when they finally took me downstairs. They had to inject that dye. They have to inject blue dye to be sure that it follows and goes to the sentinel node, and it literally turns the node a bright blue color. When the surgeon goes in to find the node, it makes it easier for them to find. It's quite painful, they said, to inject all the places that they have to, and that's why they go ahead and put you to sleep. At that time, I was in the pre-op waiting. They came in, the anesthesiologist came in and talked to me, and then came back and said, I'm gonna give you just a little bit of something to knock you out for just a few minutes while we do inject this dye, and then you won't even know. And sure enough, they put something in my IV, and the next thing I know, I was waking up and everything was done. I didn't feel any of it, which I was glad. Shortly after that, they came and got me to take me to surgery. And once again, it's quite different than the last time I had surgery that I remembered. They actually I can remember previously, I would remember them putting the mask on and all that. Not this time. I remember sliding over to the table. I remember them strapping my arms and getting everything ready. And the next thing I know, they put something in my IV and I was out. Next thing I remember was waking up in recovery. I felt fine, just a little groggy, woke up. They took me back to my room. I was not sleepy at all. Very surprised. I was really awake. Got back to my room, got something to drink. Waited, because you have to be there a certain amount of time after you get out of post-op. You have to drink a certain amount. You have to go to the bathroom, which I did all that stuff fine myself, and everything was good. My surgeon put the stitches on the inside, and then you have this what's almost like super glue. It's very thick, and they use that to glue the outside of the incision. So all of my stitches were in the inside, which meant that I could shower and wash and everything like normal. I didn't have to keep it so dry because the stitches were there, and I didn't have to have any stitches removed because the ones that were on the inside would just dissolve. It was really great this time. It was very different than 2014 when I had another lumpectomy done on that side. That was back with the old stitches, so it was a lot different in those 10 days. But my surgery went well, everything was fine. We left that afternoon and headed back home. Let's see, that was Tuesday. And I had to basically, just be careful with it. Don't lift anything, don't do anything. I didn't really have a lot of pain. I took some ibuprofen that day and the next day, and that was pretty much it. I do have a fairly high pain tolerance. and therefore I think it just wasn't an issue for me, which I'm thankful for. Then things were normal. I was still working from home. I got up every morning. The very next morning I got up and drove my son to school, came back, worked from home, just kind of took it easy. I still did my exercise, my walking and stuff. I made sure to exercise that arm, and I made sure to stretch and, you know, do lifting and moving exercises, and tried to, you know, do this kind of thing and make sure I moved a lot, because I did not want to have lymphedema where I got all that swelling in there and they had to go in and do something for it. I had to go back to the surgeon on Friday, which would be 3 days after my surgery, for a recheck. When I went back to see my surgeon on the 6th, which was 3 days post-op, that's when I found out that we did have clear margins. She took a big piece of all around the tumor, so we had clear margins on everything, and my lymph node was negative. So it was clear. There was no cancer in the lymph node. So we felt pretty sure at that point that I would not have to have chemo, but we were not certain. So she checked everything and it was great. There was just a tiny little bit of fluid buildup, which she said she would expect. And right up here, because my tumor was kind of high, they had to actually take out more of my chest wall up here than I would have expected. So there was some fluid buildup in here where there's the indention and the cavity. And that was okay too. She said it would eventually basically just go away. It would be absorbed. If you're finding this video helpful, please click the like button so that I know, and leave a comment below. Also, if you would please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos. Some of the things that I noticed after surgery that I think may just be common. I was sore in the area of the incision, and I was sore under my armpit. They had one incision and they went over and got the tumor and all the area up here, and then over here and got the sentinel node out from under the armpit. So I only have this one incision. I noticed things like there was fluid in the cavity right here where they removed all the tissue. It was really weird because I guess that's just kind of where it settled, in that little pocket, and you could hear it sometimes. The nerves start to heal back from the incision site where they excised the tumor, and you'll have periodically, I would just have these little pins and needle feelings. Kind of reminded me of when you're outside and you're really cold and your fingers get numb, and as you start to warm up, you can feel them and they start to have that pins and needles. And that's a lot of what I felt. So I didn't have any problems with range of motion or movement. It didn't hurt. It was just really sore under the arm. I could not wear a bra because it would rub and hurt that part. And I didn't want to rub any of the glue off to cause the incision to have a problem. That was most of the things that I noticed. I did have what I told my doctors, I had a Smurfette boob, because when they inject that dye in there, your whole, everywhere they inject the dye is blue. So all this area all around my breast was blue, and it probably is just now, I would say it's been a month out, and it's just now pretty much gone. So it was pretty funny because the surgeon would say, oh, you still have a good bit of blue left, and I would say, yeah, I still have a Smurfette boob. Don't be alarmed. It just wears out. It just basically flushes, and it tints the skin, and it just has to eventually go away on its own. And pretty much after a month, it did. Didn't feel anything, didn't have any pain, didn't have any problem with it. Didn't have a lot of swelling in mine, which was really good. I didn't have a lot of problems. That little bit of fluid that I had, but it's just gotten to where I can be comfortable wearing a bra where it's not rubbing too much. After the end of the video, I will put some pictures of my incision site right after the surgery, and then how it looks now about a month later. I'm telling you that now because if you don't want to see those pictures, there'll be a big disclaimer that comes up on the screen. I will show you the incision site, I will show you the blue, I will show you how it looked, just in case any of that information may be helpful to you. But what I didn't think about, and it's my bad, and I should have thought about this, I had gone to my family doctor for my normal annual blood work. I didn't even think about the fact that I should not have had blood drawn from that arm, and I did, and it didn't cause a problem. Blood work in that arm, blood pressure, things that go in with that arm until it's truly healed can cause some fluid retention and some lymphedema. And I really believe that's what it was, because it wasn't there the day before, and then that morning I kind of noticed it, and I didn't think about it till afterwards, but I pretty much feel like that's what it was. So I'll be sure to be really careful from now on out to make sure I have blood work and stuff on my left arm until I know it's been long enough that it's healed up pretty good. Because I only had just the one sentinel node removed, and therefore it shouldn't be too much of a problem. My breast cancer was caught very early in a screening mammogram, and had I waited a year, there's no telling what could have been different had it not been caught. And it's just so very important that we do our mammograms every year, and we do our self-checks every month, and we just do everything we can to keep ourselves healthy. And I've been very adamant, about I may have had cancer, but cancer didn't have me. And I know some people may say that's really easy for you to say, Carla, because you didn't have a really serious case. However, all through this journey, all you know is that you have breast cancer, and you know that you have to have all these tests done. And guys, it is so, I can't even think of a word, because you're worried, you're stressed, you're concerned, you think a whammy's coming. It's like, oh, okay, I really don't think you're gonna have this, everything's gonna be fine, you've got the best case scenario. But guys, that's 2020. And so I'm sitting here thinking, it's 2020, and if there's something weird that's gonna happen, it's happening this year, and so there could be a whammy coming, and I just don't know. And I tried to stay positive. I tried to continue to be positive, because that's the only way I could be. I'm a very type A person. I have to hit things head on. I have to go right into it and just push right through it. So even though I didn't know what was gonna be happening in my journey, I just knew that I had to start the journey, and I had to go, and I had to go, and I had to go. And I just keep telling myself, it's gotta get tougher than this. It's gotta get harder than this. It's gotta be more than this. And by the time I get finished, then hopefully I'll look back and say, wow, it wasn't all that bad. And I know how fortunate I am that that's my case. And I continue to pray every day for all the rest of my pink sisters who their journey is a little bit more difficult than mine, or they have different things going on in their life than I do. And I understand that. And I do realize how blessed I am that my case was not as serious as it could have been.